April 12, 2012, Sheriff Mike Donovan stood on the porch of his homestead, the dusty Texas landscape stretching before him. His worn leather hat cast a shadow over his stern face, which was etched with lines of both authority and hidden pain. The scorching sun hung high as he pondered over a new piece of evidence that had arrived at his office, a DNA test result linking him to a dark family secret. Michael was respected and admired, a lawman whose life had been dedicated to upholding justice. Yet, behind closed doors, his heart was heavy with undisclosed burdens. He had a loving wife, Elaine, and 5 children who were the center of his world. But now, as he held the envelope containing the DNA results, his world began to crack. The letter contained shocking information. DNA evidence implied that his deceased father had fathered his 5 children. Michael's hands shook, and the dust in the air seemed to settle around him like a curtain drawing closed on his past. The truth was like a splinter in his mind, painful and impossible to ignore. As he digested the revelation, images of his father's cold demeanor and strict lessons from his childhood flashed through his mind. The foundation of his identity was crumbling. How could the father he had revered be capable of such deception? What implications did this hold for his family and his life? His heart pounded as he scanned the plain envelope once more, trying to brace himself. Outside, the wind whispered secrets through the barren streets, and the once familiar surroundings seemed alien and threatening. Michael realized that uncovering this truth could be the key to unraveling his entire existence, but it might also lead him down a dark path from which there was no turning back. The moment crystallized his resolve. He needed to confront the secrets of his past and the betrayals that had festered for decades. The serenity of his life was irrevocably shattered, and he was alone with the heavy burden of truth. Unbeknownst to him, the next steps he took would thrust him into an emotional maelstrom from which there might be no escape. In the quiet of his study, Sheriff Donovan began sifting through old family albums and letters, searching for answers. The room was dim and filled with the musty scent of aged paper. Each photograph and document became a clue, hinting at secrets long buried and relationships clouded with deceit. The DNA result sat on his desk like an accusation. As Michael examined each detail, his thoughts returned to his father, a man of rigid principles who had maintained an air of mystery throughout his life. His father's absence of warmth now seemed deliberate, as though he had hidden something crucial from him. The sheriff's investigation into the family's past led him down a rabbit hole of whispered rumors and hushed confessions. Neighbors recalled odd behavior and unexplained absences by his father, and family friends shared fragmented stories that only deepened the mystery. The uncertainty and suspicion weighed on him, driving him further away from the stable image of his life. Michael confronted his own memories during solitary nights, staring out into the empty, starless sky from his porch. He struggled with the realization that the man he had idolized was not who he believed him to be. The steady force that shaped his moral code was now a source of betrayal and emotional agony. As he reached deeper into the past, Michael uncovered a hidden drawer in an old chest. Inside were letters exchanged between his father and a mysterious correspondent, laden with emotional turmoil, business secrets, and hints of a clandestine life. Each letter suggested that his father had led a double life, one that his family never knew, and that his children might be living under a lie. With each new piece of evidence, the boundaries of right and wrong blurred for Michael. His pursuit of the truth was consuming him, and the clarity he once had as a sheriff was fading fast. The weight of the family's secrets threatened to swallow him, leaving him questioning his sanity, his identity, and the very foundations of the life he thought he knew. The tension within the Donovan household had reached a boiling point. The living room, once filled with warmth and laughter, now felt oppressive and charged with silent accusations. Michael prepared to confront Elaine, his heart heavy with betrayal and confusion. When Elaine stepped through the doorway, her face was etched with worry and sorrow. Michael laid the DNA results on the coffee table between them. His voice trembled as he demanded answers. What have you been hiding? Elaine's eyes filled with tears as she realized the weight of the moment. She hesitated, knowing that the truth she held could destroy everything they had built. She confessed that she had known about Michael's father's secret for years, burdened by the fear of losing her family if the truth emerged. Their conversation spiraled into a heated argument. The living room walls seemed to close in on them as they exchanged accusations and shattered hopes. Michael felt betrayed not only by his father but by the woman he loved, his sense of duty clashing with his emotional turmoil. As the argument intensified, Michael's thoughts turned inward. He was on the precipice of a dark abyss, teetering between upholding the law and succumbing to his own chaos. The boundaries between justice and vengeance were beginning to blur. Elaine pleaded for understanding, her voice cracking as she revealed more layers of the past, a past where secrets were protected out of fear and love, but now only serving to deepen the rift between them. Michael's rage and confusion meshed into a cloud of despair, marking the beginning of a dangerous descent into madness. The confrontation left Michael shaken to the core. In that dimly lit room, his moral compass spun wildly. He was engulfed in a maelstrom of emotion, rage at the betrayals, grief for the shattered family he once believed in, and fear of what his next actions might bring. The darkness within him began to take root as he grappled with the burden of truth, setting the stage for the unthinkable act that was to come. The air in the Donovan home was thick with tension after the confrontation. Michael found himself alone in the silent aftermath, the weight of every whispered secret suffocating him. Each room echoed with memories of happier times now tainted by betrayal. With the truth about his father's duplicity spiraling out of control, Michael's mind teetered on the edge of rationality. He knew he had to regain control, but the darkness had already begun to seep into his actions. Elaine's quiet resignation from their conversation haunted him, and he became obsessed with confronting the guilt and betrayal festering in his soul. His emotions boiled over one fateful night. The living room, once the setting for their conversation, became the backdrop for a horrifying moment. Michael stood over Elaine, who was asleep on the couch, her breathing steady and unaware of the storm outside. In that moment of horrifying clarity, his confusion and anger manifested into a twisted resolve. With trembling hands driven by despair and rage, Michael committed the unthinkable, taking the life of his beloved wife. The sound of shattering glass, muffled cries, and the cold reality of his actions reverberated through the silent halls of their home. The solemnity of the scene contrasted with the chaotic emotions that fueled the deed. In the immediate aftermath, Michael stood motionless, blood chilling his fingertips and freezing the moment in time. The evidence of his crime was stark: Elaine's lifeless form, scattered personal items, and the remnants of shattered trust. His heart pounded in the silence, echoing the realization of what he had done. He knew that the community would soon be shocked and terrified. The respected sheriff, protector of the law, had committed an unspeakable act. The darkness that had consumed him was now tangible in every corner of the house, a macabre testament to the betrayal and turmoil that led to this nightmarish act. As the night deepened, so did Michael's descent into a web of lies, secrets, and irreversible actions that would soon draw the attention of his colleagues and the law he once upheld. In the days following Elaine's murder, an air of suspicion and dread settled over the small Texas town. Detectives and forensic teams swarmed the Donovan home, combing through evidence with meticulous precision. The shock of a beloved sheriff committing such a crime rippled through the community, shaking its foundation of trust. As investigators analyzed the crime scene, fragments of Michael's unraveling psyche emerged. Each piece of evidence, the torn letters, the DNA results, Elaine's confession, painted a portrait of a man consumed by betrayal and despair. The threads of a twisted family history began to intertwine with the investigation, revealing secrets that had long been buried. The detectives interviewed friends, family, and community members, uncovering the subtle signs of mental and emotional turmoil that had marked Michael's final days. Some recalled the sheriff's quiet moments of introspection, others whispered of odd behaviors as he came closer to the truth. The more they uncovered, the more complex the narrative became. Flashbacks and deeper investigation revealed Michael's conflicted relationship with his father, a relationship marked by hidden resentments and secrets that stretched back decades. These clues hinted that the truth behind his father's betrayal was tied to larger, more insidious events in the community, drawing a tangled web of deception that reached far beyond his family. Detectives pieced together the timeline leading to Elaine's death, suspecting that Michael's actions, while shocking, were driven by a mind pushed to the edge. As suspicion subtly circled around him, Michael tried to maintain control, even as his colleagues began to unravel the full extent of his descent into madness. The town watched with bated breath, wondering how a man they trusted could become embroiled in such horror. The chapter closed on an unsettling cliffhanger. Evidence suggested that Michael might not have acted alone, and deeper conspiracies involving his father's past were looming. The investigators were left with more questions than answers, and the community braced for revelations that would forever change their perception of the man they once admired, leaving viewers questioning the true nature of betrayal, justice, and the dark secrets that bind a family.